Um, well, I think it's pretty simple. You be a reliable and transparent partner. So you have clear timelines, and you have clear yeses and nos, and the rest of the investment community can work around that. Right? So it's when you don't know the length of a contract action. Is it going to take 1 year? Is it going to take 4 years? And at the end of 4 years, am I going to then be in 4 years of protest? Right? With that uncertainty, a younger stage company is not going to want to do that. And I think it's just removing all kinds of barriers from IP relationships and this and that. So I think the biggest lesson learned is to be transparent and to be engaged and to show up with some humility, right? I'm not no longer an obstinate buyer. So that's not to say that you don't fight hard to get the best deals with government, but I think a little humility helps.
Right. So just to follow up to that, so say the DIU sort of invest in a company and takes the company under the wing, and then the company sort of slowly scales up. Where do they graduate to? Like, what's the next phase for that company outside of DIU?
Yeah. So DIU is small, right? It's never meant to be a program office. That was one of the critical innovations in that OTA process I described. And again, I think it should still be on their website, but we wrote like a 50-page paper on how to do it. The key innovation was that the prototype contract, so you're building a drone, the prototype contract was a competitive process. But at the end of that competition, that winner, if deemed successful, could immediately go into full rate production without having to recompete. So it was a bridge through that valley of death between R&D and procurement dollars that normally exists. And I don't know, they probably have on the website. We did a handful when I was still there and got them through that transition from starting with a couple $1 million of contracts to then the end customer, which DIA was not involved with, would be writing hundreds of millions.
Right. Thank you.
Were there any lessons learned relative to your engagement with the DoD customer community in terms of getting them to provide you with problems or getting them to buy into the Silicon Valley as a source of potential solutions?
Yeah, I think lots, right? I mean, helping them understand what the art of possible is, helping them understand, and I think some of them have been so I guess they've just been so beaten down by the traditional systems that they couldn't imagine that a software program could be written in less than 4 years, right? And so I think just helping them understand the art of the possible, helping them understand the difference between requirements and problem statements, helping them understand the unique needs of working with a younger company, and then again, helping them understand the importance of reputation and surety, right? Like, you yank a contract at the last minute from a big defense prime, they'll complain, but they'll still apply to your next contract. You do the same to a company the first time they work in front of defense. They're never going to work with you again, and likely will never their friends. So the reputation matters.
The changes that have been implemented since you left, I mean, the reorganization under R&E, some of the internal reorganizational things that happened. I mean, I want to be delicate about this, and we can keep this not for attribution, but what do you have concerns? Do you think that the new strategy makes sense? Is it really a wholesale departure, or are these changes just on the margins? If you have any insight, I don't know that you do. I'd just like to know what that is.
So on the positive, they have an amazing leader right now, a guy named Mike Brown. He's a tremendous guy, proven Silicon Valley CEO, a big public company CEO. And so I think the DIU and the government are just so fortunate to have him. So at this point, I'll switch to off the record, background only, non-attribution. I am really worried about the switch, right? And maybe it'll be fine in the short run, but in the long run, if you lose top cover and you have without commentary on the current guys, right? Like if you get somebody that doesn't believe in it, the whole thing could die quickly. And so that is a problem, and that's also directly tied to funding. So I think it remains to be seen, but yeah, it's definitely a concern.
And when Mike came in, he changed the partner model that you had put in place and made it more of a conventional structure. Do you see any issues with that, or is it more or less same?
No. Organizations evolve. I see no issue.
Got it.
No, right? It became more of an execution organization than just an investment organization. And so, for an execution organization, you need a director structure. So I think it's the right structure.
So I don't know that I had any additional specific questions that I wanted to cover here. Bharat, do you have anything you want to add, Bharat?
No, I don't have any specific questions. I was just wondering if you have any specific thoughts on what the horizon looks like now that you're on the outside. If you look 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, what are some of the things you would like to see happen? Although you yourself are not in that role anymore.
Yeah, look, I think things are moving in the right direction. I think the future is bright. I think, though, innovating in the couple $100 million regime, so think of not just DIU, but all of the innovation organizations collectively, I don't know how much it is, 500 million, pick a number. That's great. But in an organization that has a budget of $770 billion, if you really believe in this, you've got to get to scale. And I think that'll be the test over the next few years, is that does this continue to scale and be used? And by scale, I don't mean just writing contracts with startups based in Silicon Valley. That's not what I mean. I mean taking different approaches to how we acquire critical battlefield technology.
Right. Yeah, I don't have any further questions.
So are you in Silicon Valley,
Great.
Raj?
What's that?
Are you in Silicon Valley now? Is that where you're based?
I'm sitting here in San Francisco as we speak.
San Francisco. So I don't get out there as much as I would like at this point, but I'd say at least once every 6 months. I'd love to catch up with you when I'm out there. I could tell you a little bit about what we're doing in the Army and just get your perspectives on that.
Yeah, no, I'd love to. And are you full-time in this academic role, Jay, or what are you up to?
No, I'm actually right now I'm full-time supporting the Army at Army Futures Command. So I'm the Command Innovation Officer there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I left MD5 and kind of got sucked into the Army Futures Command Task Force, and then was asked to stay on to help them stand up the infrastructure for their innovation activity. And I have not been able to extricate myself yet. I'm looking forward to getting back to NYU full time, but honestly, living through this, and you could probably vouch for this, is kind of a laboratory. So in terms of what I do, I mean, I'm interested more in the research end of it. I'm exposed to the data and the people and the stuff that I want to be able to write about. So I mean, it works out, but it's also extremely tiring, and I have to spend way more time in Austin than I would like. Nothing against Austin, it's just not home.
Got it, man. Well, that's great, dude. And so, yeah, so you're in Austin, yeah?
I commute back and forth. I mean, my home,
okay.
My home is still in DC, but I got a place in Austin, so I'm in fact, I'm down there for the next 2 weeks. starting on Monday to try to close some things out. So I'm not probably not too much longer for doing what I'm doing right now, but yeah, right now I'm doing Army Futures.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, listen, thanks so much for your time. I know you're busy. And if actually one save round, are there any folks that you would recommend that we talk to just around this topic in general?
I mean, there's lots. There's plenty of the old DIU crew. There's Mike Brown himself.
Yeah, I think we're gonna talk to Mike. I already teed it up with him. I mean, does anybody sort of stand out top of your mind?
Yeah. You can talk to who else would be good? You can talk to Doug Beck, who's running the reserves unit there.
In fact, Doug, I ran into Doug Beck Tuesday night. He was in D.C. for some reason, so.
Oh, cool.
That's a good recommendation.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. That'd be a good fit.
Okay. All right, man. We'll follow up with you if we have any questions, and then let you take a look at the stuff that we put together.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thanks, man.
All right, thanks, bro.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, bro.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.